Hey, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Last time we were talking about fathers. This time we just here staying friends. And we're going to be going into how we met, the four of us, back in college. Each of us have respective memories and such. So let's just kick it right off. This is Justin speaking. And we got who else here with us?
Brandon, aka Brizzy.
What up, y'all? It's CJ.
And this is Vince. Let's go. And yeah, we'll start off honestly with how Brandon, you and I met. What do you remember in the beginning? This journey we started together.
Oh boy, that's a funny story. So I remember seeing you and this other guy. For those who don't know, Justin is a tall, light-skinned, square-headed Hispanic guy.
He looked like SpongeBob cousin. I forgot his name. But remember that episode with SpongeBob that came into town? That's Justin.
Oh my goodness.
Y'all keep coming for my square head, bro. I didn't always have one. As a kid, it was rounder.
But I'm not trying to, do anything bad, but that's literally how I, remember. There was another guy that he looked like, and I got them confused. And then one time, my roommate Elijah he and I headed to our cafeteria area, and we got our food, and he sat down next to this guy. I've seen Justin, walking around, but of course, I never met him. But I had saw that he was sitting down with somebody. I was like, oh God, now I got to talk to somebody. And I sat down. I didn't look at him. I didn't say anything. Elijah sat down first. I sat down, and then Elijah said, "Brandon, this is Justin." I said, "Hey, how you doing?" That's when I say what I say, but I don't really want to talk to people, or I don't like them. I didn't know him not to like him, so I just didn't want to talk. And then he says, "Hey, I'm Justin," all nice and friendly and everything. And I'm just like, "What's up?" So yeah, and then Elijah's like, "Oh, I need to get up and I gotta go get some more food, or I'm gonna go get some more food." In my head, I'm like, "Why is he gonna leave me here with this stranger?" And I just had an attitude the whole time. I was looking at my food and eating, and then I looked up, and then I know it was God that told me, but I just looked up, and in my head, something just said, "Let it go." And I said, "Fine." Are you a Michael Jackson fan? Or it was, "Do you like Michael Jackson?" Said something to him. Said, Justin, he was like, "Yeah," like caught by surprise. "Yeah, of course. Who wouldn't be a fan of Michael Jackson?" My ears just perked up, and I just started talking from that forward. That day, that moment forward. And then, we split ways. And then for the next couple of days, I'm talking to Elijah and our other roommate, Connor. And I'm like, what's this guy? What was the boy's name? It's like, his name was Justin. Justin, where is he? Like, I have to find him. So I'm looking for like a week, like, where is he? And lo and behold, he lives in my building. I happen to be walking back to class, back from class to our dorm. And he's walking to class. And I see him, and immediately I just go, "Hey, I want to be your friend." And he's just like, "Whoa, okay." I said, "Look, and I'm panicking because I don't know what to say." And I just spoke on impulse. And he just said, I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "I have a birthday thing coming out. I think I'm doing something for my birthday. I want to invite you. So can I get your phone number?" He said, "Yeah." And he ended up inviting me to his. And then that's how it went.
My version of that same story, like how I remember it, is funny because it was very confrontational. Like leaving past the mailroom, which I lived in a building at the time, same as yours, where there was a mailroom downstairs. But coming out, I must have been on the way to class, and I saw you, and when that iconic moment of "I want to be your friend" brought us to here, because from that point we went over to each other's dorms and like did a bunch of other stuff. Were you aware actually that I met you sooner in like a circled up orientation night? We were doing like kick the soccer ball just for fun, and I feel like I saw you in the corner of my eye, like part of that circle, but on campus back in school, like there was a big group of people, and obviously, like we didn't know each other then, but I feel like I saw you sooner than that moment in the dining hall, and then after when you approached me, because I think you didn't see me on campus for a little while, and you were looking around. So that checks because I remember meeting you and then becoming friends officially was after that point because I was open to it. And yeah, our mutual friend Elijah, like he was someone I knew first and kind of would he would always say hi, always welcome me in the room when I would like be anywhere, wave at me, be very inviting. And you tagged along and yeah, it was just like bada bing bada boom, found you. And yeah, that's what I remember. But at first probably like just in your own lane and then opened up more, and now we're like brothers born for a time of adversity. Like I think of that scripture because for those listening, I have a Christian faith and I'm vocal about it, and so that ties into how I met Vince because of a small group that we were a part of. And Vince, I know your memories are probably fresh, but that time, freshman year, we met, must have, actually, we must have like met in an apartment. It must have been the president of Focus at the time and met, just like at a Bible study or something, or like a worship night. I'm trying to recollect because you were quiet in the beginning, and then I heard your accent and I heard your story and more about like where you came from and like your major and everything. But it was cool because I thought like, bro, this guy sounds so wise. And I just, yeah, I was drawn to Focus at the time, which was a club on campus. It was their like soul ministry at the art school we all attended. And yeah, do you remember how we met being at like in the apartment or the maybe someone's dorm?
To your point, I will say that I'm still, I guess you could say, quiet or reserved. I tend to, I guess, take time to process stuff and think about stuff. And now I'm trying to think about the first time that we met, and I think it must have been because I'm trying to remember back, like, I think first time coming to college, I knew that I wanted to make friendships with a lot of people, and I was trying to think what would be the good places to meet people, and obviously, like the first thing that came to mind was like try and look for like any groups in school, like any extracurricular activities. And for me, faith has always been a big thing for me. So I thought that I should try to find people who share the same values as I do. And so I guess as I was looking around for one of the groups, I think I must have most likely met you in one of those. And I think that should have been the first time that we met. And I think the second time we may have met when it clicked for me is when I met you through Breezy. And me and Brizy used to share the same classes as motion designers. And so I think just having mutual connections gave us more chances to be able to just, I guess, build further and get to know each other more.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely it matches what I remember. And all of us here have been a part of that group at one point or another on campus, like with the ministry and everything. Plus, our majors were a big reason why we were like so busy all the time doing homework and assignments. I met CJ because we both have a background in film, and that was like what, day one of department meetings and things like that.
Right,
So
yeah. But let me tell y'all how he did me freshman year. I acted in one of his films for Oreo, and it was a film about prom. And he matched me with a person named Alex. Now, in real life, if y'all can see Brandon's face right now, in real life, I did go to prom with a person named Alex, and it didn't end so great. So I had to relive that in Justin's film. But nah, but freshman year, it was really dope. I don't think I met Vince freshman year though. As I'm thinking about it, I don't know if I met bro freshman year. I feel like it was later on, maybe sophomore year, maybe junior year. I don't remember at all, but I remember Brandon. He lived right across the hall from me. Justin, like he said, we were in the film. Vince, we were both black. So, I mean, I was trying to meet everyone that's black at Ringland. For sure, for sure.
I'm black
It's only
too.
like,
He didn't make his way over to my room to say
oh,
hello.
wait,
You're black?
They believe so, you know.
Yeah.
I will say, CJ, that I think you're correct on that. I think we did meet maybe much, much later, maybe some point in either the second year or the third year.
What were your first impressions of each other?
I I felt like with Vince when I met him when he spoke like he was wise, had a cool, strong-headed, um, level-headed like atmosphere about him. And yeah, love the Lord. CJ was creative from the jump and funny, and we didn't have many classes together, but then, we just like continued to stay in our program and eventually did like branded entertainment stuff. So everyone here is like mad creative. Brandon, for you, I like you remember you being stoic and that quickly dissolved, but yeah.
I think when you said funny, I think you said CJ was funny. Um, I think you mean funny looking, and I understand that because he was looking like a chia pet sometimes,
Oh, wow.
But it's okay. He was making me feel nostalgic sometimes,
Mhm.
Chia.
Good one. That's a good one.
And he looks like one to this day.
Good one.
Mhm.
Is it my turn? Like, because when I first met Brandon, my first impression was like, I need to call the zookeeper. Somebody left the alligator out of the cage.
Alligator.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say monkey because that's racist.
Wow.
Um, no, but I don't remember having a first impression of Brandon like personally, but I remember seeing his room. Like initially when I opened my room, like I say, he was across the hall. So when we were moving in, I saw like a bunch of Michael Jackson memorabilia and records on his wall, and I was like, "Hey, that person might be a vibe." I don't know. To this day, I don't know if I was right or wrong. Um, Justin, Justin, I don't remember my first impression on Justin. No, I do. As he was mentioning, we were all a part of that club, the faith-based club, Focus. And I remember he had said what's up to me one day as we were walking to the group. It was him and one of our other mutual friends named Theo. And it was like, hey, what's up, CJ? And in my mind, I'm like, who are y'all? But I was just thinking, I was like, oh, yeah, what's going on? I don't know these guys' names. I don't remember ever talking to them. I don't even know how they know my name. But that was my first, I don't know if that was my first time meeting Justin, but that's like the earliest memory I have of Justin. And then, of course, the rest is history. And like I say with Vince, I don't remember meeting him. I don't remember my first impression. Well, I do remember my first impression. Black. However we met each other, that was my first impression. Yes, another black person on campus. Bro, there was only 2% of black people at Ringland.
But y'all know right
Maybe.
now, CJ is very black, black, blackity, black, black, which is wonderful. But just know you're holding the fist up now, but just be prepared for all that is to come with that. Black
Mhm.
Panther himself. You know
I
what?
mean, I was a majority like that at Ringland. Like I had to be super, I wouldn't say pro-black, like because I'm not like a political, not in that realm. It was just more I love to see as many black people together because again, there was only 2% of us. I wanted us to be together as much as possible because there was like one in every 10 groups of black people. So yeah, at Ringland I was definitely like black, black, blacky, black, black. Now I'm a little mixed, if I do say so myself.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And I will say my first impression of everybody, I guess, I would say like just right now looking at you, Justin, like it's not easy to tell, but when I first met you in person, I was like, you are a pretty big dude, like you're pretty tall, like than what I imagined. And so it's like interesting seeing that you are, I guess, as I may have thought of you as like a gentle giant. And so even though you're pretty big and you aren't really intimidating, like you're very welcoming. And I was like, hey, this is a friendly guy. And the more you talked, I was like, you're also pretty wise, especially for how young you are, and I appreciated that. And then I would say for Brandon, I think the very first thing that stood out for me about you was you have a really good taste in, I guess, taste in clothes and fashion and shoes, especially the shoes. And yeah, you used to wear very colorful shoes, and I was like, this guy is pretty cool. I wonder, I was actually pretty scared. I thought that you wouldn't be the type of person who'd talk to someone like me. I thought you may perhaps maybe be a little bit snobbish. But
Wow.
getting to know you, I was like,
You
oh,
shaking your
that's
head
not.
for it.
I was like, that's not who you are at all. Like you're actually a pretty chill dude, and you're yeah, it's easy to get to know you, and so I appreciated that about you. And then for CJ, I will say that you are you are someone who's always out there at the front as a leader. I think you're always like doing your, I think some DJ events as a DJ. And so my first impression of you was that you're, pretty cool and confident and you're pretty sure about yourself and what you're doing. And so yeah.
See, I'm pretty short. Is that what you just said?
No, you're pretty sure of yourself. Like you're confident in what you're doing. Yeah.
I was about
That's
to
true.
say, 'cause all y'all were talking about how tall Justin is. Nobody talked about how tall I am.
He's short. He's very short.
Yeah, CJ, he may not be speaking about it now, but he hosted a lot of events on campus and was like very much life of the party, fun haver. That was a for sure thing I caught on to. But it's amazing we stayed friends for so long. Because afterward, post graduation and everything, leaving college, we are still learning things about each other and have like stronger bonds in a lot of ways. But as adults, it can be hard to fully be intentional and make friends where you're at in big cities, just in your 20s. Like, talk about the fact that it's tough out here to really find like a diamond in the rough friend. And what does it mean to be a friend? Like, I will say I'm not necessarily on campus anymore for reasons that are personal, but here in my hometown, like the friends around me, they were kind of like they really had to be sought out and like worked at to stick around and be consistent with. So, what do you guys think is the hardest thing about making friends in young adulthood?
Well, let me go back a little bit to what CJ was saying. Well, you were saying about CJ, he was saying he was always the life of the party. A lot of people like CJ, and from the looks of it, you could tell that you know he was a pretty popular guy with how many people knew who he was, but how many people could he really say? And this, I guess, is a question for you. How many people could you really say were your friends? Because you could have a whole lot of people around you in your circle say, "Yeah, I like you," or "You cool, you this," or whatever. But not all of them are, truly going to be your friend. Some people can just want the, attention that comes with you. Some people, want something off of you, anything, and or they could just be, acquaintances. At they it could be many different things, but out of all those hundreds of people, you could probably everybody says this, everybody's been saying this for years, but you could probably count on what two fingers who real friends are. You got to take the time to discern, and that's part of the answer to your question, Justin. Is you take the time to pay attention to the people around you and see what qualities make them a friend, a friendly person, but that makes them a friend to you. What type of things do they do? Do they stick around when times get hard? Do they check on you? Simple things like that.
Yeah, those are facts. Um, and answer that, and I mean, it's just a part of the conversation now. I would say, like, my true friends are the friends who I've stayed in touch with since graduating. So obviously, y'all, and there's a couple of others, but yeah, it definitely doesn't amount to the amount of friends or acquaintances I had or any of us have. I think that's just a part of life. It's a hard part of life. Like that was a hard lesson for me after graduating high school. I spent so many years with people, middle school, high school, and I would think I would still, be in communication and talk to these people in college and for the rest of my life, like we talked about. But no, it doesn't work like that. Uh, so yeah, I mean, my true friends are the ones who I stay in contact with after college because that just proves like it's not necessarily friendships aren't about proximity. I think it's more so what's built within that proximity and how far we can take it without that proximity. For sure, for sure.
Right.
What do you think, Vince? You and I have I do remember some conversations we had about friendships and friends that you used to have, friends that you may still have. If you remember that conversation from it was a long time ago.
I will say that I guess just looking back, and we did have a lot of conversations. I think looking back right now, it's easy to take for granted, but when you are in college, it's so easy to make friends because you live in such a limited space next to each other. You get to see each other every day, and so in a way, it's almost very organic to make friends with the people around you. And I think one thing that happens, at least happened to me, is that when you finish college and you move on to like adult life, it just kind of like happens unfortunately where you will lose some of those friendships as people move on and go into different places, especially, different countries maybe. Some of those relationships, even though you could try to maintain like long distance, you try your best, and maybe some of them do continue on. But I think for most of them, they do die out slowly over time, unless you have a chance to meet them again. But yeah, and I think that's the most difficult thing about making friends as an adult because it's like, where do you get to meet people every day in the same space? And I'm not talking about work because it's kind of hard to make your work friends your personal friends because you do want some kind of separation. You want to be able to goof off with your friends and sometimes do silly stuff. Not anything too crazy, but I think it becomes difficult to have that outside of college or something like that.
It can be, but you know, I've said this to other of you guys at some point, but life can definitely affect what happens and things like that. But you do have some control over certain things. Like if you want to maintain friends after college or after any era or time is over, you have to make the decision to push forward with trying to be friends with that person or continuing, with the friendship. If you want to talk to the person, talk to the person. You know, simple things. Like it's your job. It's a two-way street, but it's your job to stay in contact with that person should you decide to stay in contact with that person. Now, if it just naturally fizzles and you guys, end up not talking or something, there could be no love lost. You just, may not talk to them for a while or, you know, maybe again. But if part of what made us work is that one or more of the people involved, one of us will definitely reach out to each or at least one of them. We constantly reached out to each other, and whether it was just hey, how you doing, just checking in, or what's the job like, what's going on, simple things. It doesn't have to be like spill your entire guts to me, all of your what however you say that grammatically correct. But you gotta decide to do it. It's
I
not
got
just
you.
gonna,
I
just
got you. And if you don't mind me jumping in, I was gonna say that that's something that I do appreciate about you. And like you say, this is what made this work. You had this habit of like reaching out to people and trying to be intentional about building something or maintaining their relationship. And I think, like you say, like it's a two-way street because if it's one person just always reaching out, at some point you do get tired, you do get frustrated, and I think you felt that with some people, and I think I've experienced the same thing, and so I was able to start doing more and more of that, just trying to be more intentional. And some people will respond, some people won't, but you just do what you can and you let go of the thing that you need to let go of.
Yeah, you guys touched on it. I think like the difficulty stems from busyness, and we allow work, we allow obligations, even romances, and like another relationship to keep us from plugging into friendships and community. So like we create these walls as adults, we sort of lose that childlike wonder of, well, you're a kid, I'm a kid, let's be friends and play together. We sort of have these like judgments, preconceived ideas, and create barriers between us. So like on top of that being guys, what guys do you know of on the regular who tear down walls and just be intentional without it looking strange or feeling like foreign or whatever. So, yeah, I think like I still struggle with that when a lot of my friends are like long distance and everything. Starting from the ground up and sticking around takes energy out of me, and then I'm drained by the end. I feel like just a depleted battery. I literally fall on the ambivert like status of extrovert and introverted, like took a test online and everything, but still need a recharge afterwards, and it just is what it is. But yeah, like we stay together as friends because of our shared like goals of art and like creativity, how we want to be in entertainment, what we want to do with our futures, and just like shared things in common. So, um, for us, it's movies, CJ. For me and Brandon, it's like Ben 10 cartoons and a lot of childhood nostalgia and music at times. Um, Me and Vince, we really have like a creative spark between us too, and we're always talking about scripture. I feel like it turns into like a sermon or like a uh definitely we preach and we just always have that like Holy Spirit anointed conversations. So it's really cool. But yeah. Any guys more comments on the fact that we're always struggling to make friends as adults, like when life gets in the way?
Yes. Um, Sorry, go ahead, CJ.
Yeah, I'll make it quick. So yeah, not necessarily when life gets in the way, but just when life changes. I didn't, I guess, emphasize really how much um, like your environment really changes how you meet friends or how loneliness takes over. You know, about me, like I moved to Chicago. I don't have any family in Chicago. I just moved out here because I saw opportunity from Florida and I wanted to move up here to just build my new life. But a part of that was realizing, okay, I have no family. None of the people I went to college actually moved here. So I don't have any alumni friends, anything like that. I'm just, hey, like our title, I'm just here. We just here. Uh, so, I mean, I go to different events, like different game nights. I just went to a game night a couple nights ago. There was like 5 people there, but it was really cool. We went and got dinner afterwards. Wouldn't say they were lifelong friends, but it's just a process of meeting people at different concerts that we like the same artists. So usually you can bond over that sometimes. But then again, you're at a concert, so it's not a lot of talking. You just partying. Speaking of partying, I don't like going to clubs or bars. I know that's like recommended for young people that try to meet people and meet friends. So it's definitely hard, and it's different than being in a college community where you see someone across the hall that's going to be staying with you for a year with a bunch of Michael Jackson, and that's your similar interest. It's not like that anymore. Or it's not like we can share a lunch in high school and you see a cool person, so you just sit by him, and then you realize you got sixth period together, and then y'all bond and go to PE together, or because you're on a basketball team. It's just not like that. So it's very hard. It takes a lot of more effort, but hey, man, we're getting it done. Like I just said, the basketball team in high school. Right now, I'm on a kickball team, meeting some cool people there. But yeah, it's definitely hard.
But it's also a great thing that life changes so you who your real friends are too. Because when you leave high school, you leave college, who are those people that are still around?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I said that earlier. I realize who my real friends are. Not necessarily while I'm in high school or in college, more so afterwards. And I mean, shoot, I think that even continues. Like right now, I'm single. We'll see who's still around once I'm in a relationship. Like who's still, because you know, relationships, things happen with relationships, where your outside world can change. So yeah, it's always about who sticks around, not where you are currently. Who's going to stick around when I'm a millionaire, and not for my money either?
Right, of course.
Well, dang, I'm out.
Yeah, I knew it.
Yeah.
That's why I should have called the zookeepers to get the alligator, because I knew I had the person.
it's the structure. It's the structure that we're without, like after something like school to have class to wake up for and head out to. So, you know, places like for me, honestly, being the youth building at church and the ministry they got going on keeps you around, and it's like a concentrated area of like-minded uh people in your age range to connect with. And then you look to your left, you look to your right, and you see, oh snap, like what we're here for. And it's like it's the perfect grounds for a new budding friendship, and those can last for a lifetime. And I'm appreciative of that being the season I stand in. But yeah, structure is what it sounds like, and busyness is the enemy of like really connecting deep with friendships. And you said it, CJ, that got me thinking about another word for like when they stand the test of time and they're standing with you in the trenches. It's really the friends that make you better, like who challenge you too, and not just like, oh, nod and support every crazy decision we make, I guess, because we can fall short and be tweaking and then we need like somebody to adjust us back in line. But Vince, what do you think like is a remedy for loneliness in a young man's life in their 20s or something?
I mean, just to start with a disclaimer, I don't pretend to know the answer for everybody because it's something I'm still trying to figure out myself. So what I've found to work for me, at least recently, has been that, I mean, there are those moments because the, I guess, first of all, some definitions would have because being lonely and being alone are two different things. And so I would say being alone is just, if you're by yourself, for example, maybe in the room, that's just you being by yourself. But loneliness is kind of tricky because you could be in a room full of people, like you could be in a classroom, in a church, or even in public, but you feel so lonely because you feel so disconnected from everybody because the idea that you have in your head about what relationships should look like is completely different from your experience. And so I think obviously one of the things which could help with that could be perhaps if it's very extreme, I'll always recommend counseling because I think it's okay to ask for help, and there are professional people who can be able to help you just figure out where your brain kind of like, got a little bit confused. And so I always recommend counseling. But then also sometimes it's like, I think having honest conversations with people who you consider your friends, because sometimes you might be like, hey, why don't my friends call me? And so I feel lonely. But your friend could be busy like working on something, or they could be just engaged in something completely different. So it's not that they're not thinking about you or they didn't invite you. It's just that maybe they forgot or maybe they got so busy. And so if you have honest conversations with people who you consider your friends and ask difficult questions, I think that could start clearing up some of the confusion, and that could be just taking small steps towards dealing with loneliness and becoming healthier. But I'd be interested to see what you guys would have to say about that.
Well, you'll be able to see on our next episode for part 2. But to start that episode off, I just got to say, and I know this might be a hard take, I don't think anyone is busy enough to contact anyone. I don't think that's an excuse for anyone, anything. I don't care if it's a parent, if it's a friend, it's just a sister. If I call the phone and you say you were too busy, you forgot, I may just hang up on you. If you forgot, that's a valid excuse, But busy, I really dislike that. Not saying I don't agree with you, Vince, but we could unwrap that and unravel that in episode 3 of We Just Here. Thank y'all for tuning in so much. Again, I am CJ, and this is the crew. These are my friends, and we just made this podcast. Make sure you follow us, leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment. We out.